When we're looking at these examples, here we're subtracting, so we're looking after the decimal, so 2 and 4. Calculator is going to give us 2.8297, and so we're going to want to keep 2 after the decimal, so we would round that to 2.83. Here we're multiplying, so we're looking at total number of significant figures. So this one has 2, and this one would have 4. So our answer needs to keep 2 total significant figures. So we would round that up to 38. The next problem, we're adding, so we're looking at after the decimal. So again, decimals present, we'll come to this side, count all of these. So that's significant. So that one has 1 after the decimal. Decimals present, come to the first non-zero. This has 2 after the decimal. So 2 and 1. So we want to keep 1 after the decimal. When we plug it into the calculator, this is our number. So to round this to keep 1 after the decimal, if this is decimal present, all of these numbers would be significant. So to keep 1 after the decimal, we just have to put the 4.0. Dividing, 2 total, 1 total, our answer wants 1 total. So our calculator tells us 13.5, but to round that so we have 1 total, our answer will be 10. Now we're going to look at scientific notation, probably something that most of you have seen before. We're going to have a number written in the form of a whole number times 10 to some exponent. So your m value has to be 1 to 9, so between 1 and 10. And then the exponent has to be a whole number. So we move the decimal to make sure there's only 1 digit in front of that decimal. So the decimal normally would be here. So we're going to count how many spaces we move it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we would write that as 4 times 10 to the 6th because we moved it over 6 spaces. Now if we're moving the decimal this way on a very, very small number, that exponent will be negative. So we're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this should be 2.34 times 10 to the negative 10th. So if we look at these examples, we're going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So it should be 2.3 times 10 to the 4th. Here we have a small less than 1 number. So we're going to move and make it a negative exponent. So we'll move it to 1, 2, 3 spots. So it should be 5.1. And we want to keep that 0 on there because it's significant. So 5.10 times 10 to the negative 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6.548 times 10 to the 6th. And we did not keep these zeros because they're not significant, because decimal is absent. So we start here. So these are significant figures. Looking at this one, we're moving our decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots, and it's going to be negative. So 4.46 times 10 to the negative 7th. 45 looks like it's fine, but we can still put that in scientific notation. So we'll just move it 1 spot because there can only be 1 digit in front of the decimal. So 4.5 times 10 to the 1. What about this 2 at the bottom? So it looks like it's fine, but we can still put that in scientific notation. The decimal is understood to already be after the 2, so we don't have to move it. So when we look at that exponent, it's going to be a 0. So we would just put 2 times 10 to the 0. Now, when we're adding and subtracting scientific notation, I want you to make sure that you can do this on your calculator. Your book gives you an explanation of move the zeros and line them up, but we're just going to use our calculator. So first of all, on your calculator, you should have this exponent button. So that will be the button you'll use when you're doing these problems. So first of all, I want you to type in, and please try this on your calculator, because a lot of times people are doing the problems right, but they just don't type it in correctly on their calculator. So if you can't get your calculator to work, please let me know. So first of all, you're going to type it in as 4.2, and then on mine, and probably similarly on yours, you're going to hit Shift and then the exponent button. You don't have to type in times 10. You're just going to hit 4.2, Shift, exponent button, and then 4. I'm going to want to put any type of exponents in parentheses. That helps your calculator make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, multiplying and adding and all of that correctly. So then put my parentheses around, plus parentheses 7.9, Shift, exponent button, 3. And I should get 4.99 times 10 to the 4th. Couple things you might see. If you aren't in a setting where it gives you scientific, you might be seeing 49900. You can round that also, because if we're looking at significant figures, one after the decimal, one after the decimal, because we're adding, so we would keep it as 5.0 with one after the decimal times 10 to the 4th. You might also, instead of seeing it written out, or like this E button. So an E on your calculator is going to mean the same as 10 to the X for your answer. So if your calculator gives you 2E4, it really means 2 times 10 to the 4th. So try a couple of these and make sure you have them correct. So again, 5.23, shift that exponent, 6, times 7.1, shift that exponent button, a negative 2, and you should get 3.7 times 10 to the 5th. When you are dividing, I know I said make sure you use your parentheses, but it's especially important when you're dividing. If I were to look at this and I did not put in my parentheses, my calculator is going to read that as 3.8 times 10 to the 7th divided by 2.4, and then it's going to multiply all that by 10 to the 3rd. So we have to put that in parentheses. So make sure you try that, and you should get 15,833, or if we rounded that to 2 significant figures, it would be 1.6 times 10 to the 4th.